If you could be guaranteed time savings on every single Revit project with a consistent and repeatable output, but really don't have to change anything, wouldn't you want to know how to do that? Wouldn't you want to know how to improve and save time and just get better? Today, we're going to talk about how you can improve your productivity on every single Revit project, even if you have limited and little Revit experience. But first, let me ask you this. Who here likes vacation? I mean, I do. I love vacation, right? You get to go and do whatever you want, whether it's on a beach in the mountains, to a park, to a resort, whatever it is that you like to do. Has anyone here ever been to Hawaii or Maui? Raise your hands. Come on. Some of you have. All right. Very good. Awesome. Glad to see that we have some people here who have been, and I hope your experience in Maui has been as good as mine. Personally, I absolutely love Maui, and there are a few times that I've been there and explored just a ton of the island, like the Road to Hana and the West Maui Loop. And I mean, not only is the weather just about perfect, the water is warm, clear, snorkeling is amazing, and overall, I'm just a super big fan. And once you leave that hustle and bustle of the airport and get on a rental car and all that kind of stuff, which can be crazy, especially on a Saturday, Maui is a magical, magical place. And every time I go, I feel more and more like a kid on Christmas, right? That anticipation of getting on the plane, of going, especially if you fly Hawaiian there, you know, they're handing out leis and all this kind of good stuff, right? Like you get in the real spirit of what vacation is supposed to be, right? The magical place, and even the trip is not all that bad, right? You're just waiting for those kind of presents under the tree, if you will. And all because I knew what to expect and just how great it was gonna be when I got there. I was super pumped. Except in 2018, this trip to Maui would be one of my worst, and an absolute kind of, my life would never be the same after this trip. To be clear, what I'm about to tell you had nothing to actually do with the island of Maui, and it had everything to do with the projects that I was working on and the strains that the architecture and engineering industry put on me. This time I've been in the industry probably 6-7 years, and really was at a point that just kind of broke me, right? Trip was at the end of January, and at the time I lived in Indianapolis, which, if you've never been or you don't live in the Midwest, at that time of year, right, in January, it's cold, it's cloudy, there, wasn't really snow on the ground, and kind of overall just feeling a dread, right? It's flat, so there's nothing really pretty to look at. You don't have the mountains and snow covered, and really if there's no snow on the ground, it's just kind of just cold and dreary. Nothing compared to the beauty that was waiting me in Maui. And some months earlier, I'd started at a new firm as a senior electrical engineer. This office in particular, an MEP firm, did a lot of healthcare work, which I'd never done before and had a big learning curve ahead of me. Plus, at the time, the office had so much work to do. And I know many of you know that feeling, right? You've got so many projects, you're overwhelmed, that there wasn't really anybody to help me out or to teach me what I needed to learn about healthcare. So it's pretty much on my own to not only learn everything about I needed to learn for healthcare design and in-hospital stuff, but to also do my own drafting and design on these projects. It's pretty crazy when you think about it that as a senior engineer, I'm licensed in 6 states, that I was doing my own design work as well as drafting. And as a kicker, the project manager for all the healthcare in the office had recently just quit. So I was the guy to take over all the management of those projects, and we had at any given time really 4 or 5 healthcare projects going on. So now I was the MEP project manager for all healthcare projects. I was the lead electrical engineer. I was doing my own drafting. And because I was the licensed guy in the office, I was doing all design review and stamping and sealing drawings for 3 other guys. So effectively, I had 4 jobs at the time. Does that sound familiar? I'm sure it does to a lot of you that you take on a ton of responsibilities, so you end up working crazy hours. And this was all after I'd been responsible for 3+ million square feet of design, in projects that range from K-12, higher ed, industrial, office, restaurants. So luckily, I knew a thing or two about Revit and could really handle my own drafting, or frankly, nothing would have gotten done, which in most firms isn't always the case. A lot of senior guys can't do their own stuff. But here's the deal. So 2 days before getting on the plane to go to Hawaii, and the day that design documents were due, I turned in a 30 operating room renovation across 2 hospitals. And it just so happens on this day when I woke up, my chest and back were absolutely on fire. I didn't know what was going on. It was itchy, it was red, it was blistering, and there was like a low, dull pain. Like 4 out of 10 on the scale. So I had no idea what it was, got myself to a clinic, and within 2 seconds of the doc seeing my chest and back, it's all red and blistery. He was like, well, you've got shingles. And I was like, what? Really? I haven't been around any kids with chickenpox, or like, how did I get shingles? Like, yeah, I had the chickenpox vaccine as a kid, so like obviously it's in my system. But come to find out, shingles is primarily stress-induced. Go figure, right? I have what seemed like the weight of the world on my shoulders, and now here I was sitting in Maui, feet in the sand, with what should have been the best vacation and a rest from it all, right? Just turned in a 30 operating room renovation project for design documents, hit the milestone, and honestly, I was just in pain the entire vacation. Taking, some medication and couldn't have, a single beer, Mai Tai. There was no Corona commercial to be found on this trip. And as I'm sitting there on the beach, I was kind of thinking back to what my eyes had been open to years prior in my kind of transformation of the A&E industry and how software was taken over. The firm that I was working for managed to snag Oculus Rift DK2 headset upon release, and this was in 2014, so 4 years prior. And we were one of the only A&E firms to have one, let alone actually use it on projects. So figuring out how to put our Revit models into virtual reality took a lot of work, a lot of tinkering, getting on forums, reading through all this stuff, and using some other software to really just figure it all out. When we would walk through buildings that hadn't even been built before, man, it was a super rewarding feeling to be able to put on those goggles and walk through a designed project and show that to clients. So creating this research and development effort really gave me the opportunity to see how software can really transform the way that we put a project together, how powerful Revit truly is, and how these models can be manipulated unlike ever before. There's a real database and element set to manipulate rather than just dumb lines like we have in AutoCAD. So as I'm sitting there on the beach in Maui, I knew that there had to be a better way from all this experience that I had with Oculus and kind of the back end of Revit. I knew that there was a way to really help get through projects faster, that even though there was a lot of work going on, and really that there was a lot of repetitive work going on in each project, these time-consuming and tedious tasks really kept us from the real work that we needed doing. It slowed us down from getting projects in the hands of clients for review, right? A lot of the work that we do is really to get input from clients to then manipulate and change it. And a lot of these tedious tasks don't really add anything to the project. Really they're just budget eaters, especially, they're consuming up valuable hours on those projects. And when you're working on a fixed fee, right, your set budget numbers, you want to get done as much as possible, as quickly as possible. So something like sheet setup and naming views and creating sheets and PDF and drawings, and that initial layout of content, only to have it all change, it needs to be done, right? And there's a whole slew of tasks like that that just need to be done, but they don't necessarily add to the project, right? You just have to do it, it's set up. And so no matter really the project size, you have things like this. All these little pieces add up to some serious amounts of time when you add them all up. And when you remove all that kind of time wasting, it allows the entire team to do what they do best, whether that's design, project management, client management, specifications, you name it. So on that beach is really when the idea of Kowabunga Studios was born. It was out of my pain, which should have been a beautiful time. It was, somewhat painful. It was out of the experience. It's out of the millions of square feet of commercial buildings that I've designed in Revit. Out of not wanting to go through any of that again, because I knew if nothing changed, then shingles or something worse would really befall me. When I look around the industry and talk to all the guys that have been around for a while, who've had the challenges and struggles, who've put in the late nights and weekends on projects to meet absolutely absurd deadlines. They have all the health concerns from the stress really put on their bodies. Now, it's not really from physical work, right? But from the mental tax and constant fight-or-flight response that is created from these insane deadlines and tight timelines. You see guys with health problems. They might have had a heart attack, strokes. They have heart murmurs. They're obese or diabetic. They got high blood pressure. And the list goes on and on of all these stress-induced illness, which ultimately leads us to today. Kowabunga Studios has developed multiple Revit add-ins to increase productivity, to remove those tedious tasks that you do on every single project and allow you to ultimately do what you do best, right? That's design. That's talking with clients and easing their worries, being a true professional, and help remove the pain of these tedious tasks so that you can live a better life. I mean, today I want to let you in on a little secret here, a simple yet powerful solution that will increase your productivity on every single Revit project. And how do I know that it's going to help you on every Revit project? Well, it's because I've done tons of projects, right? I've done $750 million worth of work, and no matter the project type, right? School, hospital, office, clinic, higher education building, multifamily, ORs, right? Factories, dorms, doesn't matter. This solution will give you hours back in days of your life. First, let me tell you a little story about improvements to your process, and even the smallest changes compounded over time can have the biggest impacts. This story is about the British cycling team and how they hadn't won a Tour de France in like 100 years, only won a gold medal back in 1908. And then through some of these small changes, they were finally able to win 178 championships, 66 Olympic, Paralympic gold medals, and 5 Tour de France victories, most of which were back-to-back. For a century, they were effectively mediocre. They were basically terrible. When they brought in a new head coach in 03-04, this coach was obsessed with finding every little inch that they could improve, everything possible that they could do. They tested different clothes on what might be the most aerodynamic, even by slim margins, right? They went through and rode together what was the most efficient. They mapped every inch of the course. They even brought their own mattresses and pillows into the hotels they would stay in along these routes, right? The Tour de France is a multiple day event. They were staying in different hotels along the course, and they brought in their own mattresses. Every cyclist had sensors on them as they trained, so they could customize the workouts and programs for each rider. Now, some of these improvements were being done by other teams, but something like lugging a bed around was not. And because of all these tiny improvements, and there's a slew more that they did to really help improve them, but they, found them, they implemented them, and then they broke their 100-year losing streak and turned it into gold. All these 1% improvements resulted in a winning team for years on end. British cycling in the last couple decades has been, really the last 15 years, has been one of the most winning cycling teams because they've implemented all these improvements. So, and just as a little aside here, did you know that a 1% improvement every day over a year, you'll be 37.78 times better, right? 1.01 to the 365 is a 3,778% increase. That's pretty crazy, right? Let's take that simple concept of finding little ways to improve in Revit projects. And some of the things that you can do personally is taking a family, a piece of content, templates, and do the little fixes that save you time on every project moving forward, so you don't have to fix it every single time. Maybe it's a piece of software that you use or invest in that automates parts and pieces of the project. And because you want your team and people to be creative, that you yourself want to do that, right? You want to be creative, solve problems, and actually design the project to the things that really can't be automated. It's things like creating views and sheets, naming and numbering them, and doing that basic setup that's tedious, time consuming, doesn't really add value, and can be automated and just needs to be done, right? And much like a picture frame, setting up sheets especially is, right, putting those title blocks on there. It needs to be there, but it's not the masterpiece, right? It's not the design effort, it's just the frame of the picture. So today I want to introduce you to Sheets Made Simple. Sheets Made Simple is here to help you automatically create, name, number, and place views onto sheets. then name and number those sheets and create basically sheet series in minutes rather than have spend hours or days doing this simple task. Now, I know what you're thinking. Setting up sheets isn't that big a deal, right? Not really a problem that needs to be solved. I mean, let's walk through what all this entails in setting up sheets. You first create the view, then you need to crop the view, then you need to apply a view template, then you name the sheet, then you name the view, then you create a sheet, and then you let Revit generate the new view as you drag it onto a sheet, and then you name the sheet, then you number it, and you got to get everything just right. So 10 minutes later, you've completed one sheet. Longer if you've got a slow computer that doesn't have the graphical processing required to generate each view. And if you like wasting time, by all means, please continue to do it this way. It's tedious, time consuming, and frankly, again, just doesn't add to the project. So let's look at it this way. If you were to get back 2 hours on average per project and you do 20 projects a year across the office, you get a full work week back, right? 40 hours saved. And you can scale this accordingly to the number of projects and size of them that you do. So tons and tons of time saved. So on this example, right, 40 hours, $100 an hour in billables, $4,000 saved. That's really average, right? Now, I'm not gonna charge you $4,000 for Sheets Made Simple, but it's totally worth it, right? So think about it this way. If you use Sheets Made Simple, and let's say that you didn't transfer that time, did it on your own dime, and you didn't use that into, productive action for the company, it's like getting a free week of vacation every single year. Now, again, we all know that you love vacation, right? You love taking time for yourself to do what you want to do. And if you want to be sneaky about it, you can absolutely do that. You can invest today, let your boss know that you're setting up a Revit project, and run Sheets Made Simple and take the rest of the day off. Go to the beach, have your Corona commercial, and use that time that would have been taken in setup for yourself, right? Nothing lost, a whole bunch gained for you personally. And I mean, who wouldn't love to spend more time at the beach and take more vacations, right? So it's your opportunity to invest in a stress reduction, time saving, and life enhancing tool that just gets more work done. But let's do this on the other side, right? Like, for you to now have the opportunities to go and that time that would have taken to set up sheets is to put it into productive action. It allows you to improve and learn more and then grow your skill set so you can get paid more. So right now, let's run through a simple example of this. So what we've got running here is a project. It's 40,000 square feet, 3-story building. And what we're gonna do, and it's roof and parapet are the 5 levels within this project. So if it takes 10 minutes per sheet to create the views, name them, apply a template, place them, and then name and number of the sheet, and we just created 20 sheets, this would take 200 minutes, right? 20 times 10, 200 minutes. So 3.3 hours. If you add distractions, coffee breaks, bathroom breaks, phone calls, chalk it up to half a day. Now, you can see that just one project a month gives you 48 hours a year of time saved. How cool is that, right? So we apply the same math, 48 hours times 100, that's $4,800 a year in time savings. So even more than our previous example. So again, you can save a whole bunch of time. And now, in doing the simple math, you might be held back because you don't think that your firm is gonna pay for it. Again, it's not gonna be $4,800. But let me ask you a question. Are you working from home? Do you have the rights to install software on your computer? If you do, both of those things are true, then what's holding you back from just doing what I talked about? Using Sheets Made Simple at some point in the day, going off, doing whatever you want, making your life better. But really, on the other hand, and this is again what I already talked about, is because you're more productive on the job and you get more opportunities that previously weren't available to you, and you never had time because you were always bogged down by little tasks like this. Honestly, you don't need your boss's permission to do it if you can install software on your own computer. And because it's not $4,000, it's not $4,800 that we talked about, you can't really afford to pass up this opportunity to save time and help take your life back one small step at a time, and give yourself more opportunities within the firm because you have more time to take on more responsibilities, which will increase your pay. So today, when you invest in Sheets Made Simple, you're not only going to get Sheets Made Simple that's good for Revit 2017 through 22 or whatever the newest version year is, and one installer that covers all versions. And Sheets Made Simple is good for an entire year. You're also going to get training videos that walk you through the basic and advanced features of Sheets Made Simple. Plus, you're going to get the opportunity to curate and cultivate the newest software and features that we create to help you save even more time. On top of that, you're going to get access to a private Facebook page that isn't full of scam and crap, but full of people just like you that want to improve and get better. See, only those who invest in Sheets Made Simple get access, meaning that they care about time saving and improving just like you. So you're going to get Sheets Made Simple. You're going to get training videos. You're going to get access to a private Facebook page. You're going to get an opportunity to create and cultivate new products that are going to help you save even more time. So you're not, just a time-saving software, community of like-minded people, ability to have your ideas heard, selected for future products, and someone that cares a heck of a lot more than Autodesk does, right? I've been in seats just like yourself, and helping everybody get through projects is really super important to me, right? I want you to have a better life. I want you to have less stress on projects, and I want you to just be better, live better. And at the end of the day, I care a lot more about your health and well-being than Autodesk ever will. So on top of all those things, right? On top of getting Sheets Made Simple, getting a community of like-minded people, training videos, and the opportunity to cultivate and curate new products, if you don't love it, if it's not saving you any time, you have a 30-day money-back guarantee. No questions asked. So in 30 days, there's absolutely no risk to investing in yourself today and saving yourself time. In 6 months, if you haven't saved at least an hour, you'll also get your money back. That's a guarantee. So at the end of the day, you really have nothing to lose for 6 months with Sheets Made Simple. This is a heck of a deal, great package. And what are you waiting for? Click the button below, enter your information, and get to using Sheets Made Simple. It's gonna make your life easier. And the best part of all this is it's only 79 bucks for the entire year, right? For those training videos, and the Facebook community is for life. So you get the private Facebook community, Sheets Made Simple for 79 bucks for the year. You get training videos to go through it, and you get the ability to curate new products and features. So for less than a cup of coffee a day, honestly got nothing to lose and everything to gain when you invest in Sheets Made Simple. So click the button below and let's get to saving you a whole bunch of time.